Hey everyone, what's up? Welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we are going to design an interaction for a music app using some cool tricks and the newly launched Figma feature called interactive variants. So before we get to the video, I'm going to talk about my site startup called SwiftCV if you haven't heard it already. So it's a platform where you can create your professional resume websites as well as add projects and portfolios to it. So if you're looking for something easy and quick to set up and you want to create your professional websites, you can go to swiftcv.com. I'll link it below, and you can create your websites in just minutes. And we also have LinkedIn import feature, so you can directly import your LinkedIn data into the website in just few minutes, and it'll be up and running in few minutes. So do check it out. It's almost free to get started with. Most of the features are free, so just check it out. I'll link it below. And yeah, let's get started with our video. So a quick disclaimer guys, to work out this interaction that I'm going to show in this video, you need to have interactive variants available on your Figma client. So if you're using a Figma desktop app or you're using Figma on the browser, it should be enabled for your specific ID. Now, since it's a beta release, it's not available for everyone. Only the members can have access to it, but you can also request access. So it's a very simple procedure to get access to it. So just search interactive component Figma on Google and you'll end up on a page like this. And what you can do is you can click on this link, the first link. I'll maybe also link it below in the description. So you can click on this link and you will end up in a Google form like this. Here you have to add your Figma email account and just submit this form. And if you are a Figma community member, I think you will get the access immediately. If you're not, then it might take like a day, two, or maybe a week for you to get access. But this is the way to get access to it. You'll not see this feature until you have the access enabled on your ID. So do request it here, and yeah, that's how you get it. And let's start the video from Figma. So guys, right now we are in Figma, and before we start, I would highly recommend you to learn more about variants if you don't know about them already. But in a small gist, if I can tell you about them, variants are basically states of a same component. So for example, if you have a button, now button can exist in different states. For example, in hover state, it could also be pressed, it could also be disabled, it could also be in neutral state, right? So a button can exist in all these four different states. So these four different states of a button becomes the variant of that particular component, right? So this is a small gist about how variants is. Now what Figma has allowed is that you can now prototype between these variants itself. So you need not to do different artboards, you need not to move between different artboards. You can quickly have these variants set up and you can animate between these variants itself. And what it opens up is a vast variety of new interactions that you can do in a single artboard rather than moving between different artboards that was not possible before. So that's what variant does. I know it might sound a little bit confusing, but I would highly recommend you to search on internet and see how different people are explaining the variants. I'll also do it in my upcoming videos, but you should definitely learn more about them. Okay, that's out of the way. Let me quickly show you the UI that I have already built up and what are we going to animate today. So as you can see, this is the artboard. It's an iPhone 11 Pro Max artboard, and I have set up a quick UI here for a music app, and it has the same typical components. So let me quickly run you through all the components. So on top you have a status bar, then you have three buttons on top. One is to minimize the screen and basically go to the home screen. Then you have to an option to wishlist it, basically add it to your listening playlist. Then the second option is to share it. Then you have a big background image which is here, and I'll show you here. So the background image is still here, and on top of it there is an overlay, and on top of that gradient overlay you have the text, you have the name of the artist, you have the name of the song, and basically some more data like 10 million listens and US top chart, right? So this section ends here, and the middle section that you see, this where I have kept this white bar, is where I'm going to put an animated a sound wave, which is very typical on music apps. So I'm gonna replace this rectangular bar with that sound wave. I'll show you how we are going to animate that. And you have a time, like the total duration of the music, and you have a bunch of controls here. So one is play and pause. So play is here, pause is below. I'll animate between these two as well. Then you have next, previous, shuffle, and liking of the entire thing. And then you have the swipe indicator below. So guys, always include your top status bar and swipe indicator in your designs, because that accounts for the total available screen on the artboard, right? So yeah, this is the overall UI, and we are going to animate two things. One is this, we are going to create a sound bar here and gonna animate it via interactive components, interactive variants, and then this play and pause button. Okay guys, so now the first thing that we need to do is we need to create sound bars here. So what are we going to do is, I want to create the sound bars in this area, and I'm gonna change this height. So just for reference to know how big we want the sound bars to be. So we are going to create sound waves here, and we're going to animate them. So somewhere around 366 should be the width of those sound bar, like the total sound waves that we're going to create. And something like 70 could be our height. Okay, so this is the reference. In this area we want the sound waves to move. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to create a frame. So I hit A and I'm going to create a frame, the same reference size that we have here. So I'm going to change the width to 366 and the height to 80. Okay, perfect. So now we have created a frame, and we can remove this basically. Okay, now this is the reference. We want the waves to be here. Now to create the waves, it's really simple. What you can do is you can create a rectangle like this. Maybe width should be 6 and height should be 60, and round it off. So rounded corners like this. Okay, and what I'm going to do is just now duplicate it and just do command D and just duplicate it a bunch of times. And what you're going to do is just randomly make something smaller, something bigger. Okay, so like this. Okay, just quickly make them some size, and what you can do is just select them after that. Like for example, I've just done for these ones, and just interline them, so it'll look like this zigzag pattern. So let me quickly do that for all of them, and we want to make them quite bigger, like at least 3 times the size of this frame, so that it keeps on moving while the song is playing. So that mimics that the song is being playing and this is moving front of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create this sound waves in the same way, and I'll get back to you quickly. So guys, what I have done is I have created the sound waves. So if you see, I have created this big sound wave, and it's quite bigger than the frame itself. It's almost like 3 times the frame, and I have just added these zigzag patterns, like made some rectangles smaller, some one bigger. So now it mimics the sound wave pattern, and what will happen is in this frame area that you're seeing, it will keep on moving. So as the song progresses in a typical music app, you see this sound waves progress, right? So this is going to mimic that. If you see frame, I have unchecked the clip content option. If you do clip content, so you'll only be see this much area of the entire thing. So toggle between clip content and you will know how much area is what you're gonna see in the app. So yeah, so now we have the sound waves, and I've grouped them together, and all of these are looking like this. Now let's just rename it. I'm just gonna call it start. Okay, and what we're going to do is now we're going to create variants of it. So variant basically means is that since we can animate between variants, so what will happen is I'll create this one where this sound wave is starting to move, and I'll create another variant where the sound wave has ended. So basically that, and animate between them so that it looks like that the music is the sound wave is musing along with the music. Now what we need to do is just duplicate this by hitting command D. Okay, Yeah, and you select the sound wave, and what we want to do is we want to move the sound wave to the end. So we're going to move it in the left. I'm going to show you here. So we want to move it this side, so this will become the end. I'm going to rename it to end. Enable clip content again, select the sound wave again, and just move it out in the left. Okay, so that nothing is visible. So it starts from here, ends here, so it's here. Actually it's moved out of the screen. So I'll select the first artboard that contains the sound wave and convert it into a component. So hit create component, and your component is created. So hit create component again, and what it done is it will create another component like this. So start is there, end is here. Now we have two components. So in one the wave is starting, in the another one the wave is ending. Actually what I'll also do is I'll move it a little bit behind on the right side so that it gets more time to move on the left. Yeah, so this is how it is. Okay, start is here, end is here, and the sound wave here is ended, and in the start the sound wave is just starting up to enter in the frame. Okay, so now we have two components ready. Before we do anything, I'm going to show you a quick nice trick actually that we are going to use in this one. So for what that I'll do is I'll just bring this in for now, and what I'll do is I'll create a rectangle again in this same frame like this. Okay, so the idea is that in all these music player you see that when this soundbar moves ahead, it fills some portion of it as the song progresses. So not the entire thing gets filled up immediately. You will see only those areas that the song has covered, that portion of the sound waves get covered or get filled into a new color. So I'll show you what I mean. So for example, I've created this rectangle here, and I'm gonna call it fill. Okay, and I'm gonna change the color to green. Okay, so here's the trick that I'm going, so watch it really carefully. Now what I'm gonna do is for this fill, I'm gonna change the property from pass through to color burn. Okay, so what will happen is now if you see the background is behind is white and I have applied color burn, so you can't see anything. But watch what will happen when I move the wave ahead. See, so basically what is happening is where is the wave interacting with the rectangle, because of the color burn property, the wave is getting that green color. So it will give us this nice effect of that when the sound wave moves along with the song, it gets progresses like this, right? And again reiterating the trick, this fill rectangle has a color burn option. If you do it pass through, and if I move it on top of it, it will not do anything. But if I change it to color burn, now what will happen is when I move the waves, it will fill only the area which is intersecting. So this will give us the nice exact same effect that you see on the music player. Only the portion that is being already covered on the song gets filled up. So to do this effect, we have done this. Okay, now I'll go back again to this same thing. I'll move this back, and since we have added this in the start component, we need to add it again in the end component. Okay, so that it's remains the same, so that even in the end it fills up the things which is moving here. Okay, so now you got the trick about the color burn option. So start and end is here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select these two components both. Okay, and as soon as you select these two components, you will see an option in the right saying combine them as variants. So if I click combine them as variant, what will happen is Figma will create this boundary around them and tell you that these are the variants of a same component. Okay, perfect. Now I can also name it as like sound wave. Okay, great. Now the next thing is animating between these variants. So I'll go in my prototyping tab, and here is the feature that comes in. So now I can animate between these two because these are the variants of a same component. I can animate between these two. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select this, and I'm gonna drag it to this one, and we can do instead of on tap we can do after delay and something like 10 millisecond. And if you have interactive variants enabled, you will get this additional option of saying change to. If it's not enabled in your system, then you will not get this option. So make sure that interactive component is enabled, and you'll get change to, and you'll go to end. So this was start and this was end. Okay, so yeah, that's perfectly fine. Instead of instant, what we want is we want smart animate, so that we can move it, and we want to give the maximum time available. So 10,000 millisecond is the maximum time that Figma allows, and we don't want ease out, we want linear, because the song moves at the time moves at a constant duration, so we want the animation to be linear. So what will happen is the sound bars will start moving and they will take 1000 milliseconds to end. Okay, now so now this component is done, and this is how interactive variant is done. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what now we have to do is we have to place this actually here in this UI. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my assets tab. Okay, and you will see that you will see sound wave is enabled here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag it here. Okay, click on the design tab, center align it, and move it basically where we want. Okay, now don't worry about the white color, I'll get back to it. Now what we want to do is go back to the layers property, select the artboard and hit the play button. And if you see, the sound wave is moving, and only the intersection where it intersects with that fill rectangle that we have made with color burn, only that portion is getting green. So now this is giving us a really nice effect. Now one thing that you might have noticed, that the background is white behind the sound wave, and that's a very easy fix to do. What we can do is we can go back to our prototype. Okay, and this is the component that we are using here. So what we can do is we can come here and select this, and you see there's a fill applied to it. Just remove that fill. So you don't need to remove that fill, actually the background is white, black. So what we can do is we can just make sure that this background and this background matches. So instead of white fill, what I can do is change it to black. Perfect. So now if I see again, so the sound wave is moving, it turning green, and everything is looking perfect now, right? Only thing is that sound wave is moving a little bit faster. The reason being we cannot slow it down, because Figma just allows the maximum of 10,000 seconds, 10,000 milliseconds actually, between two interaction. So that's the maximum speed that you're gonna get. But I have a work around it as well. It's very simple to actually do it. So since this allows only 10,000 milliseconds between two interactions, between two states, we can create multiple states between these, and we can then have maximum 10,000 millisecond delay between those two. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the first one, okay, start, and I'm gonna duplicate it. So by clicking Command D, okay, this is the third variant, and I'm gonna just move it up, move it down. Okay, so this is the variant third if you see in the left panel, but what we can rename it to, we can say middle. Okay, and what we can do is so the first thing, in the first way, the sound wave is way behind. Okay, it's just about to start. In the middle one, what we can do is we can come to the sound wave and we can make it in center line, so like this. So some of the wave has passed, but it's in the center. Now in the third, the wave has moved out. Okay, now what we can do is we can reconnect this prototype. So I'll go to the prototype tab, and instead it linking to the delay third type, I'll just remove this one. I'll select the first one and I'll connect it to the middle one. Okay, so instead of on tap, we can do after delay 10 millisecond, the way we did before. Okay, smart animate linear 10,000 milliseconds. Perfect. And from here, after delay 10 seconds to the end, linear, smart animate, 10,000 milliseconds. So what we have done is from this state to this state, now we have 20,000 milliseconds of duration. Now we have doubled the time actually. So that's a small trick. If you want to make that sound wave move even slow, you can create even more states between these two end states and can add the maximum duration and it'll slow down the time. Okay, so let's see how the prototype looks like. So if you notice, the sound wave is much slow right now because what we have done is we have break down the two states into three states and added additional timing in between them. So now it's moving slow, but still a little bit fast. What you can do is you can, again, as I told, you can add even more states in between, and using this Figma variant option, variant interaction, you can create more states and it will become even slower to the point that it can become exactly like the way it should be. Okay, so guys, this was the main interaction, one of the trick, as well as the color burn trick, as well as the interaction between variants. So now our task is almost done. So we have the entire thing available. Now what we can do is, to make it like even more better, we can simulate the play and pause option. So to do that, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna duplicate this artboard and I'm gonna add a pause button to it and link these two together. So what we can do is we can just move it around like this, duplicate this one. Okay, select the pause button that we have built, exactly aligning with the play button, and give the play button a pass through of 0, so it will hide. Okay, and what we can do is we can link this to this on tap. Okay, so on tap of the play button, it will go to the pause state, and from here again back to this. Okay, on tap linear, but we don't want this much time. What we want is almost 100 milliseconds, smart animate, and instead of linear we can do ease out. Same here, select this. So on tap everything is fine. Instead of linear we want ease out, and we can do basically 100 milliseconds. Okay, done. So now let's see how it looks like. So this is how it is, and I'll hit play and pause. So now if you notice, play and pause button is working perfectly fine, but what is happening is the wave, right? The wave is again coming because we have not done anything with the wave. So what should ideally happen is that once you click the pause button, once you're in the pause state, the sound wave should flat down. So because there is no music playing, it should flat down, right? So to animate that, what we are going to do is we are going to come here to our variants again, select the third variant option and duplicate it again, and we'll say freeze. Okay, this variant is basically freeze variant, and I'll move it down and select sound wave option. Okay, so we now also have now building a freeze variant. So what I'm going to do is come here and select the remove the fill option, select the sound wave, move them in the middle. Okay, and what we're going to do is we are going to reduce the height of all the rectangles that it contains. So we're going to make it, select all the rectangles, and the height is mixed, just give it 6. Okay, so now it looks like this. Make it center aligned, now it looks like this. Select the entire group that contain these waves and center line. So now it will represent our flat line of pause. Okay, so guys, now that we have created the flat line variant calling freeze, when you pause it, this should this is the sound wave that should appear, which is basically flat line. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to show you the another trick that is there for this one, for variants. So go to the second artboard where we have the pause state, and I'm going to select our sound wave component. Now if you see, you can switch between any component to show up. So right now it's showing start, and that's why start has an animation, and that's why in the second frame when you're doing pause, we are again seeing the sound waves jumping. So what we can do is we can come here and switch to another variant. So basically now we can choose it to freeze. So if you see from here, if I go to the prototyping tab, all of these three are connected, like the start, middle and the end, but the fourth one is not connected, so there is no animation to it. So it's just a simple flat line. Okay, and yeah, so now here is the flat line and here is the start component. So ideally this should work. Let's see how it looks like. I'll start it again. So yeah, your sound waves are moving perfect, and if I click pause, it should flatline. Perfect. So the animation is working perfectly fine. If I click it again, it starts from there itself, right? And again I pause it, it just becomes flatline. So perfect, this is how the interaction is. So now we are almost done with our interaction, like everything is done. You can stop at this stage as well, but if you want to make it a little bit more better, what you can also do is you can animate between these states. Basically this, you can make a variant where you click on it and it becomes red, filled, selected one, and basically next shuffle. You can create basically variants for all of these and link it to these different interactions. What we can also do is when we click on next, we should move to a next song. So we can create a new frame and add basically a new image and new song, and when you click on it, it will move to the new thing. So let me just quickly do that. I'm not going to explain it because the procedure is the same, but let me just quickly do that and show you how it will look like. So guys, I've really quickly set up this third artboard where I've just changed the name of the song, the artist and the image. And what we can do is I can just come here, select the next tab and link it to the first one, last one actually. So on tab, navigate to perfect, smart animate, ease out, 100 milliseconds, perfect. Do it from here as well, the same thing. And from here, if I click back, I should be able to again view my previous song. So link this to this, and yeah, now let's quickly see how our entire prototype looks like. So perfect, sound waves are coming and changing color, and if I hit pause, then they're pausing. If I hit again it, then again moving, play state, and if I hit next, I see the new song, perfect. If I hit back, I see the Dua Lipa song again, right? So the beauty of this is I created this component once, and even in this state again, I'm seeing it moving perfectly fine. So we don't have to create multiple components again and again, and they are interacting the same way. So they are the repeatable components. So that's the benefit of having interactive variants. So guys, that's it for now. I hope you like this video. If you like, do give us a thumbs up and share with your friends and all. And yeah, great. I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye, take care.